to the real role of the growth of democracy, the real role of the church in democracy. What is the role? Well, the church is rather sticking so much on the theocracy, and we also have democracy in our countries. So what is the church doing with the theocracy with it, and now embracing, or whatever we shall get from you men of God, about democracy and the growth of it. But after this short break. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Taswira, Siasa na Uongozi, talking about democracy, the growth of it, and the role of the church. We've heard so much about this, and the men of God in this studio, I'm glad that there are things we are not able to really talk about, maybe in the pulpits and all these other areas, but at least at this kind of a forum, we get chance to listen, to get to to understand what the church has, and what the church knows about democracy, and what the church needs to go about. Before we left, Bishop, you had something you raised, and this is about the government setting up, areas. This is for market, this is for toilets, this is for schools, this one is for county government, all these things. And you say the church, the government has not set land for church. Is this a problem of the government, or the problem of the church, or the problem of the people? Because if I wanted to be a pastor today, I'll pray and just fast for like 40 days, so long as I'm not dead, and then I come up, open a church, and go plant myself in a kwa railway pale katikati ya no man's land, and do a church there. Excuse me, unanipata? Yes.
Let me tell you.
Yes, sir.
Who belongs to Kenya?
We.
Who's the owner?
I think me and you. Are you a Kenyan?
I am a
Yes, yes. I think me and you.
Who is the creator of Kenya?
Oh yeah, the creator is God.
The Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter number 3 and verse number 5. Acknowledge God first in everything you are doing, so that He can make your path straight.
Oh yeah.
Before anything, before you acknowledge a dispensary, before you acknowledge any hospital, before you acknowledge anything, acknowledge God first. Now the question is, where is the place of God in Kenya?
Yeah, I think somewhere I'll come to that. Where's the place of God in Kenya?
Yes. Because it is only churches that are suffering, not schools. Because they can establish somewhere. This is in the shoulder malfrani. In a manner, nobody cares about going to heaven. What they are caring in Kenya is how you can prosper wealth.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you know that it's only Kenya because of democratic thing? Mtu atalala usiku akiwa maskini, asubuhi ataamuka akiwa millionaire, and nobody questions.
Yes.
Pesa alitoa wapi?
Democracy.
Democracy. Hata kama uliiba, nobody cares. As far as you can buy land, you can build the high-rise houses. Nobody cares ulipata aje, because you have democracy. Now, kanisa ikienda kuuliza swali, hawa watu wanatupigia kelele. Tunapiga kelele. And hata ilienda mpaka wakati mwingine uliona sheria ilipitishwa ambayo iko mpaka leo. Sauti ya vyombo ya kanisa isiende 30 meters away. Lakini
Full blast.
Let me ask you. Kanisa tunafanyanga Sundays kama inawezekana na crusades wala ambao Mungu amewasaidia. Hizi vyombo unaonanga zinaendanga road show. Zinanga umbali wa mita ngapi?
So they say they are paid for that.
They are paid for it. So because we cannot pay, so tunafunga.
Bishop, I'm not the one saying.
Let me tell you. The problem we are having, that is the reason why nikwambia wale watu ambao karibu na our presidents na viongozi.
Yes.
They are the problems. Because the only thing they can do it is to start by themselves and their families. Lakini wakati ambapo hakukuwa na democracy, president akisema amesema. Wakati wa Moi, sukari haikuwa ifika 30 bob. Kilo. Ilikuwa ikifika hapo unasikia tu amesema. Nimesema kila mtu mwenye anauza sukari akipatikana kwa chera. Sukari inarudisha mali na sasa ilikuwa. Lakini nowadays, kama utaopress Gregory. Kilo kwa hii duka utanunua 120. Enda kwa supermarket 160. Kwa mwingine 180. Democracy.
Yes.
Nobody cares about where you are going to live, what you are going to eat.
But there is willing seller, willing buyer policy.
Do you know? Let me tell you. Do you know what's happening here in Kenya? It's what is happening in the Ukraine and Russia. Do you know how it happens? It's like in your village there, you have only one shopkeeper. And now the villagers are fighting the shopkeeper. They tell the shopkeeper, don't worry, we want to fight you. But don't leave to sell us your commodities. We can buy. But still we are going to fight you. And it's the only shopkeeper in the town. Now the shopkeeper atakubali kupigwa vita na use bei yenye anataka. As far as you can buy, atapandisha bei vile anavyotaka. Now we don't have any voice utaongelea ukiwa wapi, because let me ask you, because of democracy, mtu umemchagua wewe, ulienda saa 12 ukaweka laini ukapiga ukamuingiza huko. Alafu anafika huko bunge anasema tunahitaji sitting allowance.
Do you think this is about democracy as a subject or as lifestyle or behaviors of any given country? Do you think ni tabia ya nchi ama tabia ya watu ama ni the effect of democracy?
That is the effect of democracy, because wanene wanakaa peke yao wanaongea. Na wanaileta bungeni wanaongea na mtu anaongea na inapitishwa. Wewe mwananchi ukiongea unaambiwa nyamaza. Mwananchi wakati utaongea ukiwa kwa nani na ukisimama wapi? Do you know? As I'm talking right now. Kuna watu ambao wako na namba ya president wetu wa Kenya. Kuna watu ambao wako na namba ya viongozi. Wale ambao karibu na rais na viongozi wengine. Anampigia rais hivyo, anachukua simu anamwambia I am at your gate. Nataka tukunywe breakfast, Mungu amenituma kwako. But do you know akifika hapo anamwambia
Mungu amesema ni wewe.
Waje usiku wa leo Mungu ameongea na mimi. Nikuombe nikubariki.
Apostle, this come in. It is becoming even hotter, because now where is this the effect really? You know,
but Bishop is raising some critical issues that from where I see it, they sound like a topic on its own. But I want to highlight something, if you allow me.
Yes.
There are things that are affecting us as a church, and those things cannot be blamed the politicians or maybe the government. For example, Bishop just raised an issue about why is it that the government can distribute the land for school, the land for hospitals, and every other public maybe institution, but we have never seen, and if there is any viewer outside there knows a place where a church has been allocated a land, maybe they should text or maybe call and let us know.
Yes.
I have never heard since I have been in the field of the ministry. But then we have to ask ourselves, is it really something that we should expect as the church, that the government can allocate a land for the church? Then I take you back to the constitution so that we understand where the problem is coming from.
Okay.
When you look at the article chapter 8 our constitution. That's why I said we have to be very careful, because leadership is very wide subject. We cannot only stick on the pulpit and say let's leave the rest of other things. I just began by saying that we don't live in heaven.
No.
We stay in Kenya.
No,
we have a territory, and this territory is governed by the rule of law and constitution. Now, our constitution says in chapter number 8 that there shall be no state religion. Okay?
Correct.
You know, unless we get it right from the place of policy, we will never get it right in the place of implementation. We are going to expect certain things that they will never come. So when you have a chapter in the constitution that says there is no state religion, what does that one mean? That simply means that from the constitution, Kenya is a secular state.
Okay.
If you were now to go as per that, that article, it means now that Kenya is a secular nation. But now there is a confusion, because you go again to chapter 32 and it says the freedom of worship is enshrined into our constitution. And that's when you find certain things like they say that every person has the right to freedom of conscience, religion, thought, belief, and opinion. Now, if chapter number 8 tells us that there is no state religion, then we go to chapter number 32 and says there is a freedom of worship, then to me that is a confusion. Because that one simply means that secularism does not exist in Kenya. It's either we have a religion or because when you, what is the meaning of the word secular? The word secular means we don't believe in spirituality. We don't believe in anything being sacred.
Oh, yes.
So when you declare a nation or a state being a secular state, it means that you don't recognize, you don't acknowledge anything that is spiritual or anything that is sacred. Now, the reason why I'm saying we have to get it right from the place of policy. Where were the men of God in the day of making that kind of constitution? Because they were supposed to contribute their views, their opinion. You understand? Now, to me, well, I am not a lawyer, but from the understanding of the of the you know the little knowledge I have about the law and the things that happens in the corridors of justice, I think the church has been kind of oppressed due to lack of knowledge, if I may use that word. Because to me, chapter number 8, what that chapter number 8 seeks to achieve is just a separation of state from religion. So that to avoid either any form of discrimination that is based on religion. But chapter number 8 of our constitution does not mean that Kenya is a secular nation. Kenya is not a secular nation. We are not a secular state. That one, everybody knows that Kenya is over 80% of Christians.
Yes.
Okay? When you go into some of our Muslim nations, once the percentage goes above 80, that land is declared that this nation is a Muslim nation. Okay? And sometimes you arrive even from the airport, and there are some things they will tell you that if you're coming in this nation, according, you saw it during the World Cup. You saw it during the World Cup.
You have to adhere to
we don't, you have to adhere into this and this. We don't subscribe to this and this. According to the religion, not just the laws. Is according to their belief. But we don't find that in our Christian nations. We don't find that. And that's why I'm saying I don't want to really blame the policy makers. I don't want really to blame the politician. I want somehow to blame the church being so reluctant on the matters of governance, on the matters of the policy making, on the matters of even sometimes